Hello everybody, thank you for joining us and welcome to the Bob Simmons Show. Well, the student body and the alumni alike are busy preparing for homecoming this weekend as the Cowboys return home to take on the Iowa State Cyclones and the ever-powerful Troy Davis. And with us, of course, each and every week, the head coach of Oklahoma State Cowboy football, Bob Simmons. And Coach, back home, homecoming weekend, a lot of excitement, and we've got a 3-0 record at home, and this is an important ball game this week.
Yeah, we do, Paul. It's been a long time. We've been on the road for at least a month, and it would be good to get back in the confines of Lewis Field, where I think our kids feel a lot more comfortable. I think homecoming is a special place, special time here at OSU. I think our Greeks and the people on OSU do a great job with homecoming.
Well, Coach, I know obviously our travel schedule has been very difficult this year, but we are 3-0 at home. Is something having to do with the young players on the team? Do they just feel more comfortable here at Lewis Field?
I think it's two things. One, they do feel comfortable here, but I think our fans really play an important role in this football team. And we've played 3 exciting ball games here, and when we were down, the fans played an important role. So I'm looking for a great turnout. This is a time for our alums to come back and really support this football team.
This last weekend we saw true freshmen Denisio Cook and Kenyatta Wright being the 7th and 8th true freshmen to actually start for us this year. How have the youngsters been progressing?
Well, we just keep getting younger and younger and younger. But DC, I thought did a decent job. He's learning, but I thought he hung in there and fought. Kenyatta Wright first started inside linebacker and really did a nice job. I think he had about 7 tackles, broke up a couple passes, and those 2 young men really will be a part of our future.
Well, we had a great battle up in Boulder, Colorado this weekend, and we'll be back to take a look at the OSU Colorado highlights after this timeout. Welcome back to the Bob Simmons Show. Well, Coach, it's homecoming this weekend in Stillwater, but last week was a homecoming of sorts for you as you went back up to Boulder, Colorado, your old stomping ground.
Yeah, it was fun, Paul. I got a chance to really get back there and see some old friends. Alfred Williams, who plays for the Denver Broncos, they're on the sideline, and got a chance to just visit with some good people. You know, this is really the start of the ball game. We wanted to come out with a different kind of play, and you can see here, we got their defense really flowing away from our passing play and came back and hit David for really, I think, a 40-yard gain. And I think that there was a play that really got us started.
Well, Coach, we saw the emergence of the no-huddle offense. What was the thought process behind that? And looking back at it, how did it work?
Well, I really thought it worked well. You know, Les Miles and Ron Calcagney really put some thought behind that. And what we're trying to do is really cut their substitution out, number one, and trying to catch them off guard. And I think the other thing, it really helps us with our tempo and our play calling, because when we get lined up fast, we get an opportunity to see exactly what they're in defensively, and therefore we just make our calls once they get lined up. And I thought that it really helped us. I think it was a lot of crowd noise, but you can see here, Tony starts off fast and he's throwing the ball to Lonzo. We actually moved the ball right down the field. What we didn't do all night, I think we moved the football, we got inside the 20s, but we didn't come away with a touchdown. We actually came away with 3 points. This is a quick snap play, a sweep to David Thompson, and that was a 4th down. And you know, when you're away from home, you got to make a decision. Do you go for it on short, or do you take the points? And I think when you're away from home, you end up taking the points, and which is exactly what we did. Our special teams have really improved. Here's Jeff Jones. It was a great hit.
I don't know how he got up from that. Well, Jeff Jones, 6 foot, 195-pound senior from Pacific, Missouri. I guess he's a senior coach. Did he transfer in here, I guess?
Well, he transferred in here, and he's a guy that we always knew that he goes down, sells his body out. And if you're going to hit somebody on special team, that's how you hit. You know,
you got to be just a little bit crazy to be good at special teams. I think.
You do. The one thing that they were giving us all night, and we thought that we could take advantage of in the passing game, was the hitches. And we're going to continue to really get Kevin Brown involved in the offense. You can see him here running the inside belly play. I think he's an exceptional young man. I think he's got a great future ahead of us. I thought our offensive line really at times blocked well, and you can see that Kevin's got a lot of speed and a lot of size to him.
Well, Kevin Brown ran the ball 4 carries for 27 yards. Coach, also you got the ball to the fullbacks out of the backfield. I think Akins and Brown both had receptions.
Well, they did. Akins did a good job. That last play, Andre, which we continue to get involved, really had a chance to break a long run. He actually slipped and fell. And our job is to really make sure that Andre is definitely involved in the ball game, and he does a good job for us. Here's David. We're down. And this is, in fact, our second drive, and so we go down, and this is the only time the night that we got inside the 20 and scored. It's important when you get inside the 20s that you put the ball in the end zone. Our offensive line did a great job of blocking up front.
Well, the offense has done a pretty good job of moving the football all year long. That's their 9th scoring drive of 80 yards or more. And on the evening against the 9th-ranked Colorado Buffaloes, 390 yards of offense, 22 first downs, and controlled the time on the clock, even with the hurry-up offense.
Well, and that's important because I think it really keeps our defense off the field. Our defense lately, and really in this ball game, stepped up and did a nice job of pressuring the quarterback. I think we came out with about 3 and 4 sacks, and Andre Waddle is there, and Lewis Adams. And I thought those kids really played hard and came up with some big plays. The key for us is turnovers, and I think in that ball game, we came up with a couple fumbles, a couple turnovers, and really had an opportunity to score more points here.
And R.W. McCord of course, done a great job all year long as the free safety. And here, averaging 13.4 yards on the season punt return. Here, a 16-yard return, giving us good field position at 33.
Good decision, 15-yard return, and had he had more blocking, we might have broke that whole thing. This is going back to our passing game. We knew going in that they would key on David, and we really had to go to our other weapons, and going back to Kevin Brown and going to our receivers, and I think it helped us throughout the night.
Now, after this punt, Davis had another stellar evening. The JUCO transfer, 45.3 yards on the night. Now, Colorado's down knocking on the door here. Good stop there, RW, I think, on the assist, and then a big turnover right here.
I think, and again, it's your defense when you're down there has got to make some things happen. Their offense has got to help us, but when that ball is on the ground, it has to belong to our defensive players. And I think for the most part all year, our players have done a good job coming up with the football when it is on the ground. That helps. That adds to your turnover ratio. Now you give the ball back to your offense, and now you got a chance to really go down the field. You hear we want an inside play with David, and he was just 1 or 2 blocks from being breaking or having a long run.
Well, I read in the newspaper, in fact, you had mentioned that they had had his picture up all over the place all week, and they were certainly keying for him. And even so, he had 90 yards and also had another 42 yards in reception, so certainly another productive evening for David Thompson.
Well, he did a good job, and I thought earlier here Tony is really making good decisions. This is a good job throwing to Dante. See, Dante Hill is really, I think, starting to come on now. He had a great week of practice, and we talk about practicing. And he really went in that ball game and came up with several key catches for us.
Well, Tony Jones did a nice job, Coach, throughout the ball game. They had 8 different receivers that caught the football, so he did a good job of spreading it around all over the field.
Well, he did, and our passing game is designed to really spread it around, and your quarterback is very important. He's got to make the right reach and got to go to the right guy.
Well, it's 21-10 here at halftime against the number 9 team in the country. How did you feel? How did the players feel at the half?
Well, I thought going in, I thought our players felt good about their performance. I mean, as a head football coach, the thing that I was concerned with, that I thought we should have had more points coming in. And so, in going into the locker room, we just talked about maintaining our consistency, being sound, and coming out in the half and really trying to stop them because they had the ball first, which we did, and try to put some points on the board.
Any kind of adjustments that you made defensively at halftime?
Well, I just told the players to continue to, when you play hard, good things will happen. And I think our defense came down, and what we really tried to do is get our secondary adjusted and make sure, because we were giving up big plays in the first half, and I thought the second half our secondary came out and our front came out and played much better.
Well, Coach, let's take a look at some of those second half highlights, and I think we have the football here, and David Thompson once again running the draw play.
Well, and this is one of our better plays in our offense, and we blocked that well, and we also have a pass off our sweep, and this is our big fullback. As you can see, we get our fullbacks involved more, and this was call him Harry Akins. He did a nice job of turning up and just stay in bounds and now power down, and I thought both those young fullbacks did a good job for us.
And defensively, Coach, or excuse me, I guess we're still on offense. Tony Jones back to pass again.
Again, going back to one of our young fullbacks, and they're an important part of our offense. And here you see the defense. And this is Cato. Cato did a nice job. I think he had about 10 tackles all night. And our young linebackers and our defensive line is getting better. And he just came in and put his hat on the ball. And Kevin Kemp really hustles. And Kevin wanted that football. When that ball's on the ground, it's ours, man.
When you're a 300-pounder and you go after it, you're going to get it.
It's like food. He goes after it.
And here after the turnover, we see Tony Jones once again looking for his big target, Alonzo Mays.
Yeah, I take great catch by Alonzo. Tony needed to put that ball up a little bit higher, but Alonzo adjusted. And it took the whole team to bring him down. But he caught that ball with one hand, brought it in, and I think he got about 5 or 6 more yards after the catch. He's a big target, and Alonzo's having a pretty good year.
Well, 18 yards on that reception, 3 receptions for 41 yards on the night, and here Thompson up the left side and
again,
nearly broke that
all night. One tackle from breaking it, and here he is again, and he really finds a crease and really does a good job here.
Well, the team speed and pursuit of Colorado certainly had to have a factor because he was getting out there, but his backside and the secondary and backside guys hustling downfield just almost. And here we see Tim Sidness.
Tim Sidness did a good job. I think it's 55 yards. We felt going in that ball game that we had our backs to the win, and we had to do that, and it was good to see Tim make a long catch. Again, we not only give the ball to our tailbacks out of the backfield, but we use our tailbacks as receivers. Going back to Alonzo as a receiver, and we just really try to spread that ball around.
Well, Coach, you mentioned that. We've seen a lot of different looks this last week with David Thompson. We saw him flanker at wide out. We see him in motion out of the tailback position. I guess this is something we're going to see a lot more of.
I think that we're a little bit more multiple, and you got to find different ways to get him the football. And one way, because he is a good receiver, is to motion him out and let him go one-on-one, and it's really helped our passing game and our young kids. The one thing that I liked about this game is really how our young kids stepped up. And this is towards the end of the game when Trent Alexander stepped up. And now he's supposed to go all the way. He shouldn't let a quarterback catch him now.
Well, I'm sure nobody in the locker room has given him any grief about being tackled by the quarterback right there, huh, Coach? Well, it was a nice play, nice read on the football. And it all starts with getting pressure on the and once again.
Pressure, and this is a good break by him. That juggling act, but he did pull it in. Now he's supposed to show that 4-1 speed that I thought he had and get it in the end zone.
Need to break out that stopwatch and maybe give it a fine tuning and give him another run at that. But nevertheless, Coach, it was a really great performance. If we could just, I guess, one turnover was really the key in that ball game.
Well, turnovers are key. You can't be contented. Yeah, you went up, you played well, but you got to expect to win. And when you're in that ball game down to the third and fourth quarter, you can't turn the football over. And we've averaged, I think, in the last two ball games, 7 turnovers. And we have to eliminate that. When we were playing consistent and our turnover ratio was high, we didn't do the things we're doing now. And so we got to get back to the discipline of holding on to the ball, executing, and not turning the ball over.
Well, we'll be back to take a look at TD's 2-minute drill after this timeout.
TD's 2-minute drill, sponsored by Farm Credit, for Ag, for Life.
Welcome back to the Bob Simmons Show. Each and every week, Tom Dorado takes us behind the scenes to meet some of the players and support staff behind the Oklahoma State football team. Tonight, we're going to take a look at a 6'4", 255-pound, fifth-year senior from Dumas, Texas, the defensive end, Jay Grossfield.
It's been a tough 5 years, going through 3 new defense line coaches and a lot of changes and different things that I had to go through, but overall it's been a pleasurable experience. It takes a lot of growing up to go through all the things that you go through every day in the life of a football player really does takes you got to organize your life. You got to put up with the different attitudes and people that's around the program and around the players and coaches, and you learn a lot, and it's something that'll be used very well later on in my life. I know that quite a few guys look up to me, not as the vocal leader, as you said, but as a person who goes out and tries, and I hope they use me as an example of a person who really tries and gives all-out effort for them to learn off of and build, and it's what coaches want, and it's what this program needs. The players have changed, the coaches have changed. It's totally and completely different from whenever I first got in here. It's a lot more family-oriented type of group of people with the coach and everything. It's been a big change. Troy Davis is he's not a typical running back. He's not a typical slasher. He's not a typical straight-ahead pounder. He just kind of mixes a lot of things in and does a lot of things well. He's a very, very quality running back that we're going to have a tough time trying to stop. Ever since I think you're a kid, you thought about playing the top quality running backs that one day you'll see in the NFL, and anybody who doesn't think that that's a challenge to themselves personally, there's something wrong. I thought 5 years is a long time to be here, and earlier this year I thought about it. I mean, it's been running through my mind every game, and that's how I try to motivate myself. It's been it's been tough mentally on me. I mean, I think every senior goes through it. The mental process of knowing that this might be last one, this game might be the last one. It's something that really weighs on your shoulders whenever you become a senior.
Paul, we don't have many fifth-year seniors, and Jake Grossfield, really, when you talk about what a defense stands for in the 2 years that I've been with him, we've asked him to play different positions. He doesn't complain. He goes out and he gives you his all every play, and I'm just fortunate to be in this program and have him for 5 years. My key is to have a lot more fifth-year seniors, but he's done an outstanding job for us.
Well, it certainly is nice to have some of that veteran leadership on the team. Well, 6 games into the 1996 football season, and the Big 12 Conference has certainly taken shape. And let's take a look at this week's matchups. Of course, Coach, the biggest one on the agenda, Iowa State and Oklahoma State, an important ball game for both schools.
Well, it is, and then you're going to see Colorado and Kansas. Kansas beat Colorado last year, and so Colorado really, and that's at Kansas, so that's going to be a very interesting battle.
They're coming off a loss last week to Texas Tech. And of course, Texas Tech about to get into a big tussle this week with Nebraska. Nebraska steamrolled Baylor last week.
Well, this is going to set the tone for their season, because if they can hang in there with Nebraska, they can have a successful season. The K-State A&M ball game is going to be an exciting ball game between those two teams.
What's been the deal with, of course, we've got Oklahoma and Baylor. Oklahoma, their big victory last week over Texas in the Red River rivalry. What, in your opinion, has been the problem at Texas A&M? Very highly ranked coming into this season, and they have just struggled after that opening game narrow defeat to Brigham Young. They've never really seemed to get on track this year.
Well, I think it's hard to put your hand on that, but I think the Brigham Young loss really set them back a little bit. I think their defense. Their secondary was very young. They had problems back there. They moved the ball on everybody, but unfortunately their defense gave up some points, and they went down to I think it was southwest or southeast Louisiana, and then lost down there. But so far, I think they're just 1-0 in Big 12 play. They're still in the Big 12 hunt, though.
Well, they had a tussle last week against Iowa State, and we'll be back to take a look at those Cyclones after this timeout. Welcome back to the Bob Simmons Show. Well, this Saturday, 2 p.m., the Cowboys kick off against the Iowa State Cyclones and the nation's #2 leading rusher, Troy Davis. And with us this week, a special guest host, Jamison Huff, a 7th grade son of Lon Huff, one of our loyal Aggie supporters. And Jamison, say, join us again next week on the Bob Simmons Show.
Join us again next week on the Bob Simmons Show.
Okay, good job.
Good night, everybody. We'll see you next week.